Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss a topic that comes under the subject database management system. Contents that we are going to cover: introduction to SQL, SQL data definition, and let's see some types and examples and data types. Firstly, let's discuss introduction to SQL. SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language, is a domain-specific programming language designed for managing and manipulating relational databases. It provides a standardized way of interacting with the databases, allowing a user to define, manipulate, and query the data. SQL is nothing but a structured query language which is used to manage a huge amount of data. Let's see key aspects of it. Data definition language, that is DDL. Data manipulation language, DML. Data query language, DQL. Data control language, DCL. Transaction control language. These are the different types of languages that comes under the SQL. Now let's discuss SQL data definition. SQL data definition. It is nothing but data definition in SQL involves creating and managing the structure of the database. Data definition language actually consists of the SQL commands that can be used to define the database schema. This includes defining the table, specifying the columns, data types, constraints, and other databases. SQL data definition involves creating, altering, and managing the structure of the databases. Elements such as tables, columns, data types, constraints, indexes, and views play a crucial role in defining the database schema. DDL is a set of the SQL command used to create, modify, and delete the database structure, but not the data. DDL language is basically used to create or modify and delete the structure of the table, but not the data inside that structure. It is only used to delete or modify the structure, but not the data. A list of DDL commands. First one is create table. To create a table, you use a create table statement. Like for creating a table, we use a create table statement. It involves specifying the table name, columns, data types, and any constants. To create a table, these are the elements that have to be included. So the first, this is the syntax of creating the table, that is create table. We have to give a table name and the column 1 that we are specifying, and the data type, which data type is that we have to specify it, and then same column 2 and the data type 2, and we have to specify the constraint for each column. This is the example I have taken. Here I am going to create a employees table. So create a table name is employees. So in that I am going to give values like employee, column 1 I am going to give employee ID. Its data type is int and primary key. And the second column 2, like column 2 I am going to give first name and then last name and birth date and the salary. These are the values for columns, and these are the data types I'm going to give. So this is the command which is used to create the table. So we use a create table for creating the table. Now let's see altering a table. Alter table. To modify an existing table, you use the alter table statement. It allows you to add or drop columns, modify data types, and constraints. Alter table is used for like altering the values and adding or dropping the columns or modifying the data types and adding the constraints. To perform all these functions or all these actions, we use alter table command. Here is the syntax of it. First we give alter table and we specify the table name, and we add a column, which column we have to modify, and add column 3 like data type 3 also, like data types also we should specify. Alter the table name, drop column 2. Like this is used to delete the column, like a drop we are using, and here we are using to add the column. So alter table is used to like add or drop or modify the columns. Here is an example. I've taken employees, adding a new column department to employee table. Here employees doesn't have a column department, so I'm going to add a column department to it. So I give a command like alter table employees, like I'm going to modify the table called employees. So I'm giving a name as employees, alter table employees. Which column I'm like which new column I have to add, I'm specifying here, like add department. That is, we have to specify a data type also here. So add department varchar. This is a alter table command which is to modify or drop or add the columns. Table. Drop table, this command is used to delete objects from the database. So suppose we have to delete some database, so we use the command called drop table. So drop table, table name, we have to specify the table name. Let's see one example. Suppose we have to delete a table called table name called employees. That we have to delete a table called employees. So if we have to specify it here. First, we have to enter the command, that is drop table, and we have to specify the table name here. Truncate. This is used to remove all the records from the table, including all the spaces allocated for the records are removed. This is used to remove all the records. What are the records entered in the table? We can remove it by using the truncate command. Here the syntax: truncate table, table name. We have to specify the table name here. So let's see one example. Truncate all the records from the employee table. Suppose we have to delete all the records entered in the employees table. So we first specify the command, that is truncate table, and we specify the table name, that is employee. So all the records will be deleted which is entered in the employee table. Now let's see comment. This is used to add the comments to the data dictionary. Example, selecting all the columns from the employees table. So we use select star from employees. That is, we have to display the inserted values in the in the employees table. So we use the comment called select star from employees. So this command will display all the inserted values in the table. Next one is rename. This is used to rename an object existing in the database. Suppose we have to change the database name. So we use a command called rename. Example, alter table, table name. Here we are using a alter table command because we are modifying the table. That is, we are renaming the column name. So we use a command alter table, table name, because we are modifying the table. Under this rename column, old column name, that is, we have to specify the previous column name that we have given to a new column name. So we have to first give a comment called rename column, and then we have to specify the old column name to a new column name. Now let's see data types. Data types in SQL define the kind of the data that can be stored in a column of a table. Data type is nothing but we are specifying what kind of data we are entering into a column or a table. Each column in a table must be associated with the specific data type. Different database management systems may support a common set of the data types, but there can be variations. Now let's see an overview of common data types in a SQL. There are different types of data types. Under this, the first one is numeric types. Under numeric types, there are three types of data types, that is int, decimal and float. Firstly, int, nothing but integer, represents the whole number. Suppose we are inserting the some numbers in the columns, we have to specify it with the data type called int. Example, create table example, that is, we are creating a table called example. Under that, we are specifying a column name, and we have to specify a data type beside it. And next one comes decimal, represents a fixed point numbers with a specified precision and scale. For fixed point numbers, we use a data type called decimal. Example, create table decimal, column 1, decimal, we are specifying the data type, and 8, 2 we are giving the value. Float, data type is used to represent floating point numbers which can store real numbers with the decimal components. Example, create table, table name, column name we are specifying, and we are giving a data type called float. Float is used to specify real numbers with the decimal component, which has a decimal. We are specifying it with the data type called float. Example which include int, decimal and float. This is the example where it includes integer, float and decimal. We are creating a table called product id. Product id is a int here, because product id we enter it as a number. So all the numbers we are going to insert, so we give a data type called int. Product name varchar, and price is we are specifying the fixed point numbers here. So we are giving a data type called the decimal, which has a fixed value. And stock quantity is nothing but we enter values in a numeric form, that is in a whole number form. So we are specifying it with integer, and the weight, that is for which can be in the form of decimal. So we are specifying it with the data type called float. Next type of data type is character string types. Under this, there are three types of data types, that is char, varchar and text. Char, we use a data type called char. Suppose we are entering a fixed length of character strings. Suppose we enter a characters that is of fixed length. So we specify it with the data type called char. Create table, that is example, and we specify the column name, and we give a data type called char, and we give a values to it. Next one is varchar. Variable length character string with the maximum length of n. Char is nothing but for fixed length characters. Varchar is nothing but a variable length character string. Suppose we are entering a variable length character strings, we specify it with the varchar. Create a table example, column name, we specify the column name, and we write the data type of it, that is varchar, and we specify it with the value here. Text, variable length character string for a large amount of text. Suppose we are going to enter a large amount of text in the column. So we have to specify it with the data type called text. Create table example, column 1, text. So here is the example which includes all the three data types, that is char, varchar and text. Create a table customer details. We are creating a table of customer details. Customer ID is with the data type called int, because customer ID we enter it with the numbers. So numbers, so if we enter the values in the numbers, that is all numbers, we give a data type called int. And next, first name, it is of a fixed variable length. So we give a data type called varchar, and we specify the value for it. And last name is of fixed length. We give the for the fixed length we give a data type called char, and we specify the value here. Address consists of the large amount of text, that is huge amount of text it consists. So we are giving a data type called text. The next type of data type is date and time types. Under this, there are three types of data types, that is date, time, timestamps. Date represents a date without a time component. Suppose we are entering a date without a time component, we give a data type as date. Example, create table. Example, we specify the column name, and we specify the data type, that is date. Time represents a time without a date component. Suppose we are entering the values for the time in the column, we give a data type as time here without a date component. Example, create a table example, column 1, time. Next one is date, time, timestamp. Represents both date and time components. Suppose we are entering the values for both date and the time. So we give a data type as a date, time or timestamp. Example, create table example, and we give a column name here, and we specify it with the data type called timestamp. Here is the example which includes all the three data types, that is date, time and date time timestamp. Create a table event schedule. We are creating a table of event schedule. The first one is event ID. Event ID is nothing but of whole number. We are inserting values with the numbers here. So we are specifying it with the int. Event name, we are specifying it with the variable string. So we give varchar event date. We are specifying it with the only date component. So we give a data type called date, and event time we are entering a values to only a time without a date component here. So we give it as a time data type. And now time event timestamp, that is timestamp. Event timestamp includes both date and time, so we specify it with the data type called timestamp. The next one is Boolean type. Under Boolean type, there is a data type called Boolean or the bool. Represents true or false value. Suppose we are going to enter a values to specify whether it is true or false. We use a data type called Boolean or a bool data type. Example, create table example. We specify the column name and we give a data type called Boolean. Example, create a table employee status. Suppose we are going to create a table called employee status. Here it comes employee ID, that is of int, employee name varchar is active, that is whether it is false or true statement. We to specify it we give a data type called boolean. The next type of data type is binary type. Under this, there are three types of data types, that is binary, var binary, and blob. Binary is nothing but a fixed length of binary data. Example, create table example. We specify the column name and we give the data type and we enter the value for it. Suppose we are inserting the values of fixed length binary data. We specify it with the data type called binary. Var binary, variable length binary data with the maximum length of n. That is, we are inserting the binary data with the variable length. So we have to give a data type called var binary. Example, create table example, and we give a column name here, and we specify it with the var binary. Suppose it is of variable length binary data, and we give the value here. Binary large object for storing a large amount of binary data. For storing a large amount of binary data, we use a data type called blob here. Example, create a table example and we specify the column name and we give a data type here. Here is the example where it includes all the three data types, that is binary, var binary, and blob. Create a table document storage. Suppose we have to create a table called the document storage where it includes document ID here, which is of int, and document name, which is specified with the varchar, and we give a specific values here, and document binary, that is it is of with the fixed length of binary data, that is we give it as a binary data type and we specify the values to it. Document var binary, that is a variable length of binary data we are inserting here. So we give a data type with the var binary and we specify it with the value here. Document blob. Blob is nothing but a large amount of binary data. Suppose we have to enter a large amount of binary data, we give a data type called blob. Thank you for watching my video.